Hello, welcome to Babbles Travelling Yarns. Happy New Year. It is the 3rd of January 2023. And yeah, it's been a busy little few weeks, months, years. My name is Grace, if you haven't joined me before. I am a crafty person who lives in Limerick in Ireland on the west coast. And I have many interests. I'm kind of a skill gatherer. I started off knitting, and I'm still knitting, still do quite a lot of knitting. I have a baby and a husband who's singing to her right now, so you might be able to hear that. Adorable. And yesterday was actually her naming day, which is kind of a secular christening. I was brought up Catholic, but I no longer practice, so it seemed a bit hypocritical to go ahead with the christening when it's not actually my belief system anymore. So instead what we did was we had a humanist naming day, just to kind of welcome her and give her name and invite lots of friends and family around to have a little hold, have a little look at her, and just kind of celebrate her becoming part of the family and the community as well. So, but little story. So normally with the christening, in case you don't know, you'd have a white dress on the baby, and it's to symbolize God's light coming down upon her. Which I found out when a friend of mine christened her baby, and I was like, oh, that's why. Or like she's been surrounded by God's light or something like that. And I was like, oh, cute. But my mum made the christening dress that we were all christened in. And then that dress was actually passed down. This was 35 years ago now, but that dress was actually passed down to all the different babies in my family on my mum's side. There's 25 cousins. I think it's 25. I'm the first. And my cousin Patrick is the last, and he's 15 now. So there was a huge amount of babies over the space of about 30 years. And so that dress did the rounds, and I'd heard that it had come up again, that it had been found for my cousin's baby's christening. However, it got lost again. And I only found out that it probably wasn't going to make it 2 days before, on Christmas, on like the 20, I think it was the 28th. So I had about 4 days to come up with something to put her in. So I took it upon myself to make it. And you know what? It was actually the best thing to ever happen because I've never sewn clothes before. I have sewn some of my weaving, but mostly just like, I've never cut into it. I've never used a pattern. I've never like fitted a sleeve. I've never, cut like the body and the back and this and that and put in, I've never done like proper fitted garments with the sewing machine. But I decided that 2 or 3 days before when I needed it, that was the time to learn how to make a little dress for my baby, because needs must. Necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. So, and then I was like, oh God, I don't have the fabric. I was thinking, I'll use the silk for my wedding dress, because I still had a little bit of it left. But when I pulled it out, I only had like half a yard, like a very small amount. And I was like, that's not enough. So what I did was, I don't know, if you've been with me a long time, you might remember a couple of years ago, I wove about 6 meters of hand-spun silk from Muezart. We did a collaboration, and I received these packages of silk I bought them actually. And I received this silk, and I was like, oh my God, I still have loads of it actually. But I hand spun this fabric, and I was thinking, I'd love to use it for my wedding. I might make like a gown in the morning for it or something like that. And I never did. And then I pulled it out, and I was like, this is it. This is the time. Because I'm at a stage in my life where, if you've been following my journey for the last couple of, especially during December, you've been following my budgeting journey, and we are on a budget. So I couldn't just go out and buy fabric. And I did have this silk fabric that was just lying there in a box. And I was like, that's it. And you know, I just had to make the decision, because otherwise I would have been like, oh no, I can't possibly, it's too precious. But nothing's more precious than my baby. So I went and I cut into that fabric, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I used a pattern from Sew Kate Sew, and it's called the Blessing Dress. Very simple, lovely. It's a free pattern, actually. You just have to sign up to her website, and I'm actually really glad she did, because she sends out these emails with like 40 free patterns. It's amazing. So I have black tea, which is actually very dangerous, because right in front of me is the dress. Do you want to see it? I have put it on my Instagram, but actually it's not a great picture. It's a very atmospheric picture. So I'll first show you. So I put a little, I did use some of the silk from my wedding dress, but I actually used it for a slip, just underneath it, you know, just to give it a bit of bulk, because we actually had the ceremony outside in the end. So this is just a really simple slip, and I actually used the same pattern. I didn't even finish the edges there, like, be grand. And then didn't my mother like show everybody the slip? And I was like, do you stop? So, because I didn't even hem the bottom of it. I just sliced across the bottom in the morning. I was like, shoop. Also, do you like my comfy pants? Comfy pants. Yes, so, hello. Do you need me? Is there a baby? A baby needs me, pardon. Ooh. I'm leaving them on a cliffhanger. I haven't shown them the dress yet. Baby sorted. Right, where was I? Okay, yes, I was telling you about the slip. So basically, this is all I had left, really, of the wedding dress fabric, and I didn't want to cut into my wedding dress, so I just made a slip, a really simple little slip, and I just cut down the back and made a little V shape just to make sure I could get over her head. Barely did. And I just did a little rolled hem and figured that out. So that was really good. Now here comes the pièce de résistance. So this is the dress. So as you can see, the body of it is made with the woven fabric, the woven silk fabric. I interfaced it with an iron-on non-woven interfacing, and I actually lined the inside as well. I did bias binding on the inside edges because they were fraying like big time. So if you can see here, there's a bit of frayage going on here, but that's fine for, you know, the top bit. But yeah, so it was supposed to be, so basically the pattern had two parts for the dress, the front and the back. However, the pattern was wider and my fabric was too narrow for that. So what I did was I actually cut 3. So I did a center panel, a side and a side. But then I tried it on her and I looked at the pattern and it was actually a 0 to 3 month pattern. I was like, oh crap. So I cut, this was actually originally much longer, the actual woven part. So I cut the two parts off that were extra. I hemmed it together and just added a panel on the back. And sure, look, isn't it lovely? Actually, I might, a little bit of, I actually don't have any lace left, but a little ruffle there would have been nice too. But then what I did was, there's no unpicking this. There is absolutely no unpicking this. Once I've sewn it, that's it. And I didn't realize it until I'd sewn it. And I was like, do you know what? That's better because I never would have touched it otherwise. So didn't I accidentally sew the skirt part on backwards? So the seams were facing on the outside. But then I just put some lace down. And don't they look lovely? So I got this lace, which was actually, this is doubled, and I lay them flat And I sewed down the center of that badly there. But yeah, then on the bottom, I was thinking I should have actually put this lace. So this bottom lace is actually lace that I got for my wedding dress, which I was planning to use in case I hadn't knitted. If anyone wants to have a look, I knit my wedding dress. I knit the top half, the lace part, and then my mother made the rest of it in the silk. So I can't remember which one it is. You'd have to go back and have a look. But anyway, I think it's called the wedding episode or something. But yes, so this is actually lace that I folded over. And I was thinking afterwards I should have attached it to the slip because it's kind of a bit bulky, but once it's on the baby, it's real cute. And then I had intended to, I folded it under basically. I attached the lace as I hemmed the actual garment, and it just looked very bulky on the inside here. So then I added this little bit of lace as well, just to kind of hide that little bit of a bulky edge. Didn't look super elegant. Then I attached my ribbon to the back. So this was how I was going to close it. There's just a ribbon in the back. I tied it with a big bow, and then I also covered up here because when I was, actually I'm glad I didn't sew it all down. So if you can see, I was gathering it together to fit it to the top, and then I didn't really push I didn't sew over the gather stitches, which I know now that's what I'm going to do, but I just put a ribbon over it and it looks beautiful. Really pulls it together. So that's my baby's christening dress, my naming day dress. And yeah, so this bottom part then was, there's ribbons everywhere, which I also quite love. So there was 2 big bows on the back of her on the day. So I managed to pull this together in a day and a half. I started it on the 30th, and I finished it on the 1st. Yes, I finished it on the 1st after we came back from my mum's on New Year's Day. And then the naming day was on the 2nd, and I woke up, I was thinking so much, you know, when you have something to do and your brain is just like going 90, and I didn't really sleep very well because I was thinking all the time. So every time I woke up with her, which is probably about 2 times, I was staying awake because I was planning. Anyway, she woke at 5:30, fed and fell asleep again, and I was there awake, and I was like, look, I'm up, if I can slip out of bed, yeah, so then I got up and I decided, I've got yarn, I've got fabric left, let's make a bonnet. So I made a bonnet. This was super interesting. So I had a portion of the lace which I actually did window pane weaving in. So I was like, I'd love that to be like a feature on the back. So I cut out that panel, and then I was actually looking up on YouTube and different patterns on how to make a bonnet. And I kind of made up my own pattern. Now, the thing is, the bottom is far too big. And as well, having knit bonnets, I understood the general structure of it. So, but the only thing is, I should have included a little bit of elastic here just to tuck in around the head, which I actually probably will do and put away, because it'll be for the next little baby who wants it, or next little mammy who wants to dress a baby up in this. So it's got the same little lace around the front. It's actually lined in silk, so it's like soft around their little head. But also this, the silk, it catches on everything, every nail. If you've ever knit with silk before, or woven, or done anything with like raw silk, it just catches on everything. So I just wanted to make sure it didn't catch on anything, you know, if it got into her eye or whatever like that. But then I was worried about this, but the lace, but actually it was soft against her little face, and she didn't mind wearing it. The only thing was, I kind of wish I had more ribbon for the ties because I had to use fabric and they're just very stiff, and she did not enjoy that. She enjoyed chewing on them, but she didn't enjoy having them tied under her chin. Poor little bless. But we got some absolutely adorable photos with it. But yeah, I have left it. I didn't close it because I made two of the same pattern, one out of silk and one out of the woven silk, and then I turned it inside out and I pulled out the what are they called? The ties, and you're supposed to like hand sew this at the end, but I left it open because I was like, I actually just didn't have time. But I'm really glad I did now, because I'm going to put in just a little bit of elastic just to like cinch that shut a little bit, and then that'll be perfect for the next baby. So what I'm going to do now is I've actually got this lovely box which I got as a gift. I believe I got as a gift, and so I'm going to use this box and put it away. Now I don't have any archival kind of tissue paper, so I'm just using napkins. But because if I've learned anything from the saga of the missing mum's dress, which I hope shows up at some point, I would love to have it as a little, you know, I fit into this once upon a time. I'd love to have it back at some point. Yes, so I'm definitely going to track it. And you know what I might do? I might put in a little, one of the cards that she got, and a little note on the back saying this gown was worn by this baby on this day at this location, and then maybe people could add to it. I think that would be really sweet. And maybe a GPS tracker. So yeah, I'm going to put that away now, and that'll be really sweet. But I'm after putting away my sewing machine. I couldn't be arsed taking it out now. I really should put that elastic in before I put it away, right? I really should. But I also want to put it away. But I'm also tired. That my life. So that has kind of been what I'm frantically making. And I wanted to like show you before I put it away, because I'm so proud of it. I want to make all the baby clothes now. It's so easy to make clothes. And I've got, I kind of went crazy in Aldi and I bought loads of their 100% cotton fat quarters. So pretty. Like they've got lovely little, got lovely stuff, and baby clothes are perfect for, I just find knitting baby clothes very difficult because I'll show you. Okay, this is what I've been knitting for ever. And when the only time I've gotten to knit is when we're driving somewhere, and she's locked in the back, or at knit night, which I'm having trouble getting to because they're quite late at night. And I organized it before I had kids. So yes, so I really haven't done much knitting, and I'm missing it, but at the same time I'm loving the sewing because it's fast. So, but if I was to knit garments, and I really do want to knit them, if I was to knit them, I would have to knit them at like, you know, to have them, 7 or 8 years old, because I'm just not getting enough time. So I'm actually knitting on a very meaningful garment. This is my honeymoon sweater. So I started knitting this. This is a boxy by Hoagie Locatelli, and the yarn is by Pixie Yarns. And I'm currently on the shoulder shaping. If you can see, there's a little bit of short row shaping there happening. This way. So a very awkward time to show you anything, but anyway. So yeah, so this is my honeymoon sweater. So a week before our wedding in September 2021, we went over to my friend's wedding in England, and we passed by Alternate Universe run by Kim Smith Happy, and I picked up 4 skeins of this absolutely beautiful yarn. It was autumn time at the time, and I we came home, Hannah had our wedding, and I cast on the pattern. I cast on the boxy. I can't remember if it was on my way back from my friend's wedding or if it was in the camper van, because for our honeymoon we couldn't really go abroad because COVID restrictions were still very complicated. So we rented a camper van and we traveled around Ireland, and that's another video that you can follow. I think it's that same type of video actually. Anyway, yeah, so it's all very linked actually, I didn't even realize it. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I started this, so where am I? I need to rip out the front. That's a really sad story because I wasn't following the pattern. Me not follow a pattern, how shocking. So the boxy is essentially an incredibly big, wide, perfect for breastfeeding and postpartum, but I didn't realize it at the time because I wasn't pregnant at the time. I was pregnant very shortly after that. So we got pregnant in October and we found out in November. And I got instantly sick. So I was knitting on this for all of October basically. And then I got really sick with pregnancy the first trimester. And it was like I was constantly like if I was knitting, it was like I couldn't look at it because I was getting seasick from it, like motion sickness. So I completely stopped knitting. I stopped making anything, and I only started making again in the third trimester ish. So I really didn't have much to show you. Sorry about that, but not sorry. I was making something else, very very pretty. Too pretty. Yeah, so then when I got my energy back and I got my kind of creative mojo back, I got into quilt making because it was faster, and the knitting was still making me seasick even though I was feeling a lot better. There was something about the knitting that I just completely went off. But ever since maybe the past October, November, I think I picked this up again, and I realized that I had made a big boo-boo, big mistake. And the front, let me show you the front if I can. Where's the armhole? There's an armhole. So the front I had actually separated for the neck hole far too early. I separated for the neck hole way before the sleeves. I don't know if I understand how bodies work, but like I did it the opposite. So I was supposed to knit up for the sleeves and allow enough sleeves, because I basically finished off the neck, came over to the sleeves and realized that my arms had to be the size of my child's to get through this tiny hole. So instead I put it away in anger, in rage, put it away. And I didn't pick it up again for a year because of the various reasons that I was talking about. And so I've basically knit the back of this from green to green, from green to shining green. And so this armhole doesn't have to be very big because the size of the actual piece, so it's basically a big long rectangle, and the sleeve actually starts here. So it doesn't have to be a big arm size. It has to just kind of fit you around your bicep, maybe even a bit lower, depending on how wide it is compared to your body and your arms. Now I've quite long arms, but and then what you do is you cast on, once you have the top and the front and the back attached. I don't know how that happens yet. But then you cast on stitches and you just do a very short sleeve, and the sleeves last 2 seconds. But there's always a compromise when it comes to knitting garments. It's either knitting a really long body or a really long sleeve. But anyway, so I did a boo-boo, I did a mistake with this. Next one I do, and I do actually love plain knitting, so boxies are really nice. However, this whole neck hole situation, I think I'm going to do a top-down one, because then all the complicated stuff is out at the start when you're fresh and full of ideas and hope, and then the rest of it is just knit, which is ideal, because that's all I want when I'm picking up a long-term project. I want the boring bit at the end because my brain is like hopping on to other interesting things, you know. Whereas if it's all at the start, I don't know, I have more energy and enthusiasm for the project. Other people are a bit different, you know, they would, you know, like to do all the boring bit first and then rush to the exciting bit and it's over real fast. But I'm like, oh no, exciting means complicated. But you know what I've seen? Loads of little kids out and about in winter in little yoke sweaters. Oh! So I might actually cast on a yoked sweater for her and hopefully have that done for next Christmas. Oh, that'll be quick. If I do it in DK weight, that should be quick enough. Anyway, I want to finish this first before I do anything else, because was it this time last year or maybe the year before that? I can't even remember. It was my whip down. I went through all my whips and I had something like 17 whips. I must go through again. Actually, that's what I'll do. I'll do a video going through all my whips, my knitting whips. And I have lots of sewing projects now as well, of course, because you can't just do one thing at a time, Grace, unless there's a deadline. I'm normally terrible at deadlines, but if it's for something I want, then it's fine. Yeah, so that is what I have been working on, literally. Oh yes, I also tried making booties for her. Unsuccessful, too small. Again, all the patterns I kind of think, oh yeah, that'll be fine, too small. So I'm like, oh, what's the point? We have so much clothes for her, so much clothes, and we luckily, oh, I'm so lucky to have babies who are just slightly older, like the next size up or the next size after that. So there's about 4 babies in our circle that, like, one is 2, one is 18 months, one is 1, and one is I think she's maybe 3 months older, but actually my baby's really tall, so they're actually the same size. So anyway, we're kind of sharing stuff. She sent me across some beautiful things, beautiful, and we're sharing toys as well, because my little lady is developmentally and age-wise 3 months, 3 months behind the other lady. So anyway, it is amazing to share toys around. And I think, have I bought any toys? Oh, the only toys I bought were these little window sticker twirly toys, because my God, it keeps her very entertained when I need to, you know, cook dinner or do projects. Oh, that's them back. That's them back from their walk. I sent them off for a walk. Is she asleep? He's listening to a Skippy book. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I love a new year. I love a new start. So I wish you fantastic, you know, fresh startness, fresh start energy. I'm going to go make pasta from leftovers.